Hello, drummers. My apologies for some technical difficulties that I just experienced trying to launch my first live stream drum lesson. But I have moved. I have two drum areas in my basement, and strangely, the other area wasn't cooperating. So I very quickly moved into here, and hopefully this can get us going here. Okay. Now I am going to take questions. I just got to find my video on here at some point when we get down to the question part. We are learning the Freestroke today and the fundamentals of the Freestroke, and really focusing on good drum technique. I think that drum technique is one of the most important things that you can learn as a drummer, because without good drum technique, it's just like anything though, without good skating technique, without good swimming technique, you're not going to go too far in the sport without being able to master these techniques that allow you to do what you want to do with absolute ease. Okay, so the Freestroke allows us to move around the drum kit freely. That's what the name implies. It's freedom of movement. It's super loose movement. It's very relaxed movement. And what a lot of drummers do, young and old, they tend to muscle their way around the drum kit. And they're not allowing the sticks to do the work. So rather than us as drummers doing the work, let's get these tools to do the work, okay? Now, I don't care what level you're at, you need to hold the sticks properly. And a lot of you guys, because I've been teaching drums for a long time, a lot of guys don't know how to hold the drums, even though they've been playing drums for a long time. Or sorry, they don't know how to hold the sticks, even though they've been playing drums a long time. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to teach you the way that I was taught by Dom Famularo via Joe Morello, how to hold the sticks and get a really excellent bounce off of the drum every time you hit it. Now, coincidentally, I want to tell you something funny. I was watching Thomas Lang yesterday in a live thing, just like I'm doing right now. And watching him play, he is using the exact technique that I'm going to show you today. Steve Smith plays like this. Buddy Rich played like this. Buddy showed Dom. Joe Morello also showed Dom. This is the technique that I'm going to show you to get the bounces out of the drum, okay? So first things first, let's talk about the grip and how you're going to hold the sticks. Oh, yes, and I am, like I said, I am going to be accepting comments, questions, whatever, but I'm just going to teach the lesson, and then I will try and get to the questions as I can. Okay? All right. So the first thing, you're going to notice the way that I'm holding the stick here, probably different than what you have been holding the sticks, to be totally honest. And the reason my finger's hanging down, why the heck is his finger hanging down? Well, I'm using this as a balance point right here between my thumb and the second knuckle of my finger right there. Okay? And the finger, you want to get that finger out of the way, because if you wrap the finger around, it's going to impede the movement of the stick. You don't want that. You want the stick to bounce freely. Freedom of movement, you got to get that finger out of the way. Okay? So when you're holding the stick like this finger here is your fulcrum. This is what's controlling the stick movement. However, that doesn't mean that this finger and your pinky aren't working equally as hard as this finger. This is the fulcrum, but these two fingers stay in balance with this, and we don't want to see this. This drives me insane. See what I'm doing? I'm sticking my pinky out. What happens when we do that? Look at this, tension. You can see the tension. My arm is hard now. You want it to be loose. You want to play super relaxed. I can't emphasize that enough. Super, super relaxed in your playing, okay? The Freestroke is going to help you to learn how to relax, and it's going to help you to be able to relax in your playing. Now, I've had a few students who, when I was teaching them the Freestroke, they thought, man, this is impossible. I cannot get these sticks to move. But I'm telling you, with time and effort, you will get the sticks to move. You know, Dom Famulero told me a story about how when Buddy Rich learned this, he was hitting, nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden, he does one perfect throw, and it bounces right back up into his hand. Buddy opens the door and says, finally, you got it. Took you long enough. So we are going to learn how to get those bounces, but it's going to take time, okay? Now, in terms of where we're positioned, we're going to be in the German grip. For those of you that are unfamiliar with it, the German grip tends to be a little bit wide. We're going to actually bring it in a little bit, sort of a hybrid between the German and the American grip. So the American grip is more like this. We got the French grip like this. And of course, traditional grip like this, okay? But for today's purposes, we're going to sort of hybrid the American and German grip, okay? Now, in this position, you want your arms to be loose and relaxed. Freddie Gruber, greatest drum teacher to ever live. He would say, bring a stick up, drop it. So this is how your arms is to be positioned. Look at this. This is totally natural to do this. Totally natural. You don't want to do unnatural, weird things, you know? You want to be able to move naturally in your ergonomic movement for drums. So we put the stick in our hand, we bring it up, we drop it. And there it sits. Same thing with the left hand. You bring it up, and there it is. All right? So this is the position you want to be in right here. Now, with this, you want to get the sticks to bounce. So we're going to start from this position here. Now, don't do this. Don't do this. You're right at that 90-degree movement, or angle, I should say, for the movement, okay? Now, when we throw the stick down, what's going to happen is the stick is going to almost feel like it's coming right out of our hand, and then we re-catch it. But it's kind of a trick. Smoke and mirrors, people. What's happening is the stick is going to go down, and it pops back up. Now, all I'm thinking about is down. The stick is doing the movement of coming up. All I'm thinking about is down, the stick pops up. So I throw it down, the stick comes up. Left hand. Exact same scenario. Now you'll notice that my grip here is very, very loose. Very loose. The reason is I'm getting this finger out of the way and I'm allowing the stick to do that movement that you want it to do. Whoa, now that's going to happen. The stick is going to bounce out of your hand. That's perfectly okay for that to happen. Now, eventually you're going to get better and better at it, and it's not going to happen that often when you're actually playing. Even if the stick does fly out of your hand, you got plenty more. Most people have a stick bag right beside them on the floor tom or in a little cup holder on the hi-hat or something, and you just grab another one. No big deal, okay? So let these sticks bounce. Now, you'll notice that my hand opens. I allow the stick to go down. So I'm starting here. My hand opens. The stick goes down. Of course, it hits the pad or the drum. When it bounces back up, boom. So it's this motion like this. You know, almost like release, catch and release. But you're really not. You're not really throwing the stick down and catching it. Because as you can see, it still stays in my hand. But it's very loose when I'm doing this. Very, very loose. Okay? Now, once you get this and it feels comfortable and the sticks start to bounce, Sticks are bouncing. To make them bounce even more, we're going to do something called the exercise for the free stroke. What that means is the stick comes down and you're going to let it bounce all the way back. Do not impede its movement. This is when you know that the stick is bouncing properly. So you're in this position here, and then it's coming all the way back. So the stick sits like that in the back position. Exercise for the free stroke. So we're here, up, back, all the way back. Now let the stick do it. Don't do this. Stop it and then let it drop. Pull it, any of that. Let the stick, this is going to take time. Let the stick do the movement. Now, I always think of, when I learned this, and I've been practicing it and studying it, and teaching it, I always think of the Bruce Lee 1-inch punch. Because look at this. Look how much my wrist is moving. It's just a turn. It's barely moving, but look how much power that I can generate. Right? Unbelievable amount of power in such a small movement. And you're letting the stick sit back. All right. Now, obviously, we're not going to play like this. We're not going to, we're not playing like that. But what this is this shows absolute freedom of the stick to bounce when you do this exercise. That's why this exercise is so vital. Absolute freedom of movement when you're doing that. I'm not impeding that stick at all. Now, another exercise, third exercise, is combining the free stroke and exercise for the free stroke. And what you're doing is you're starting in this position, you throw it, recheck, and come back. So I'm sort of stopping it here. I'm letting it go there. Now, if the stick does this and pops out of your hand, that is perfectly normal. It's okay for that to happen, especially in the learning. That means you're not doing this. You're not holding the sticks super tight. You want to be loose, okay? Now, here's the free stroke, playing some eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm absolutely letting the sticks bounce. Now, as you can see, it's a big movement. If we want to go a little bit faster, we're going to bring the movement to what's called a half free stroke. So we're coming up to maybe here. I'm still doing that throw, though. You see that? Still throwing the stick. It's still bouncing back into my hand. So a little bit, eighth notes, a little bit closer to the drum. Nice and loose and relaxed. Okay? Now, we want to get really low to the drum. We do a free stroke like this. You'll notice still doing this, but low to the drum. And you'll notice also how my hand is opening and closing. This is vital. This leads us to the Billy Gladstone technique, which will be a lesson and perhaps a live stream for a different day. But we've got this bounce happening, and we're opening and closing both hands. And depending on what you want to do, you're varying the height. And you can hear it gets louder when you go higher. Joe Morello used to call this velocity. And if you look in his book, Master Studies, there's a whole pages of exercises for velocity, where your velocity implies that you're allowing the stick to do its thing, and you're not having to throw it hard. You don't have to throw the stick hard. The stick will just be accented or have a louder feel and sound on the drum because it's coming from a higher place. So this is velocity. And then middle, low. Now, of course, I'm throwing in a few accents there, but I'm letting the stick bounce. Now, I feel really good when I'm doing this. This is another thing. You're not going to get as tired. So if you're a speed metal player, a punk player, or you're playing prog rock or super fast jazz, whatever, this is going to aid you because you're not going to get tired because you're allowing the sticks to do the work. And again, look at my fingers, both of them. Those fingers are allowing the stick to bounce, and then I'm moving the stick like that. And this finger is out of the way. I'm allowing the stick to move. Notice the bounce. Paradiddle. Allowing this stick to bounce. Still relaxed, but I can go quite a bit faster the more I relax. So that's the other thing. As you start to go faster and the stick comes down closer to the drum, you have to stay relaxed, all right? You really have to stay nice and loose. I can't emphasize that enough. All right, so that is the free stroke and the exercise for the free stroke. If you have any questions, feel free to leave questions in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Please stay tuned for more content, more live streams. This is my first one. And after some technical difficulties, we finally got this lesson rolling. And I think it was a success. So I'm happy with the first time around. Stay tuned for more new content. There's going to be tons of lessons coming up. I'm just waiting on, as I've said in so many of my videos recently, I'm waiting on a piece of audio equipment, and then I will be relaunching my channel with new audio. And I've already upgraded mics by getting this Rhodes mic, so my speaking is good. But I'm talking about drum audio is what I'm talking about in terms of upping my game and trying to get really, really good quality videos out. Because up until now, I have not had any, the drums have just been live in the room, mic'd going through a PA. I didn't use any interfaces or mixing boards or nothing, and it just doesn't sound that great. So now I've changed and I've taken this a lot more seriously. And like I said, there's going to be some great stuff coming. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care. See ya.